Hi,
Hiya, how are you?
I'm good.
Good to hear you and good to see you.
Yeah, you can you can't see me.
No, but I can visually see you. Yeah.
I don't know.
So, how are things?
Well, things are going on well.
Yes.
We were able to rebuild those houses that I was telling you were destroyed by floods.
Yeah, must have been very, very distressing. Um,
Yeah,
so,
and then we resumed production,
yeah,
but due to the rains, we have not sold. But right now we have an online campaign going on, like from my website, because we're still designing a website here for
yeah.
for all the products and for everything, which I think will be done maybe in due course. And we want to raise, according to the meeting, we had said we needed around 650 USD for the launch.
Yeah.
But after evaluating, we needed like 700. So that's what we are fundraising for.
Okay. And how is it going?
We haven't received any yet, but we are hoping to receive by before Friday or Saturday.
Okay. And have people made pledges or?
Yeah, there are people who have made pledges.
Okay,
Yeah, right now around 200 USD.
good. Just make sure you collect as well, because it's very important for the community, obviously. And
Sure.
congratulations on your first report. I've read it in detail. It's very
Yeah,
good. You
yeah,
totally took on board everything we talked about last time because
yeah,
it's so important that you actually can go back and follow um, the thinking. So there are never any debates about which day did we sell them, where did we sell them, why did we sell them, etc. So you have everything in this document that you can
yeah.
refer to when you're making decisions later on.
True.
Um, I cannot stress that enough how important it actually is to
Yeah,
ensure that that's the case. So it's a very good report. There's two, three things I'd like to add to it going forward, just because it's going to make it easier for you.
true.
Um, and then I need to double check some of the numbers we discussed previously, because now you're preparing another batch of 90, right?
Yeah,
Um, because the first batch went really, really well. It provided good money for the community, I think,
yeah,
and uh, it's a fantastic business, really. We just need to make sure that it stays on track and we don't hit speed bumps that will derail it,
true. Yeah,
and make sure. So one of the things now going forward that Mathare needs to decide on is
yeah,
what do you think the demand in the market is? How often can you run a batch?
yeah,
Because you should really not run a batch until you have sold everything you've had in the previous one, because otherwise you start accumulating costs.
true.
Now, the only cost you're going to be incurring is for the material you need.
Yeah,
But if you also start tying in things in stock, you tie
yeah,
in capital, and you might want 10 in stock, so you never without, because it's also good not to, if there is demand, that you say no,
yeah,
we're out, you need to wait 3 days or whatever. But think about how much capital you can afford to tie back in stock. I would
yeah,
think more than 10,
yeah.
and then you can start looking at running the next batch, really.
All right.
um, Something like that, because if you do a calculation of how many you sell per day, how long
Yeah,
it takes for you to run a batch and get it packaged and ready for distribution and sale,
yeah,
you shouldn't really hold more in stock than what that lead time is. You're selling 5 a day and it takes you 3 days to get ready
yeah,
with a new batch. You should never
yeah.
have more than 15 in stock before you run the next batch. You should probably have between 10 and 15, something like that.
True.
Because if you have 25 in stock and all of a sudden sales stop for whatever reason, you get an event like the flooding when you can't sell any.
True.
Then you get sitting with a lot of stock, and that's not good.
Yeah. True.
So that's important. Otherwise, I'm sitting outside actually because I have an engineer here that's fixing something for me. We had a massive cold spell at the weekend. You know, it was minus here. It was minus this morning, which is crazy.
Oh,
And the boiler didn't work. So
I'm sorry.
look, it's nothing compared to your flooding. It's a deluxe problem, but it was fairly unpleasant. And he trying to figure out what happened here.
With the flooding, you can just move out and go to another place where there is no water. But with temperature, temperature is just everywhere. Where
Yeah. I went back to visit my mother last week.
yeah,
It's something I try to do once a year. It's really the only time I ever fly.
yeah,
And I grew up in the cold, right, with the snow. Stockholm is cold. It has proper winters and lots of snow. We have never had a snowfall like this in April. It was so much snow, the whole city stopped. Even a city that is prepared for snow couldn't cope. So much snow it was. Everyone was walking on foot. There was no cars running. Everyone was on foot in the whole city.
Were the railways working?
The railways were working, but they were cutting services. So the trains were running, but not all the trains were running, because what you have is the problem for drivers to get to the station and pick up the train.
Yeah.
So there were no problems running the trains, but you only ran about 50% of the services. So all the smaller lines gets closed and the main lines stay open. And then obviously the tube ran underground in central Stockholm, the subway or the underground, whatever you want to call it. But there were no buses. The buses couldn't run. And this is a city where I grew up, where we used to have minus 20 degrees in the winter, lots of snow. It's just that the snow came so late. Everyone was kind of prepared for saying, this is spring. This is over the winter. And bang, you get 2 days. We had 2.5 feet of snow in a day.
That's quite sad.
It's a lot. And sad in a way, because we would rather have had it in the winter.
Yeah, last year I was in Stockholm and I was being told it's summer, but I was freezing.
It never gets properly warm because you're quite far north, right? In July you might have some good days where it gets to 30.
But the sunlight was amazing, man. At 10 p.m. it looked like 5.
Yeah, because you're so close to the equator that the shift of season doesn't happen in Kenya, right? The shift of season in Sweden is enormous. If you go there at Christmas, you only have an hour and a half of sun. Everything else is dark. And then in June, you have 22 hours of sun.
I was there at June. I was waking up at 4 and I was like, wow, the sun rays were piercing through my hotel room and I'm like, I'm late. And then I look at the watch, I'm like, oh, it's 4.
Morris, you're not the first one to be deceived.
Yeah.
But coming to visit us, the same thing. Quite funny.
Yeah.
But all the Swedes, or the natives like me who grew up there, we have black blinds in the windows.
Yeah.
Because you do wake up in the summer, so you have to have these blackout windows, because otherwise it gets too light and you wake up.
So.
But I think hotels don't generally use them because people find it a bit claustrophobic and scary. But if you live there, you need to have them. Otherwise you won't sleep in the summer. So yeah, I'm glad you experienced it, because it is
Yeah.
quite weird for someone who has not.
It was very confusing, but at the same time, we had more time we had more sun to look at, to go through the city.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sunlight was enough for us as tourists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But did you enjoy it?
I really enjoyed. I was in the meeting for Stockholm Plus 50, for climate change.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. Was an amazing moment, and I was not alone.
Mm-hmm.
We were with like 7 of my guys from Kenya. So we really
Wow.
enjoyed ourselves there.
Yeah, I mean, it's I'm really glad you got the chance to be there, because it is, to be
Yeah, and
in Sweden in June is a very, very different experience to what most people will ever experience. It really is weird. But it
David is
doesn't get very
telling
warm, doesn't get
yeah,
very warm.
David is telling me that he's planning to travel. Will you be coming along with him?
No, I cannot. So David will be there, hopefully, and he will try to do as much as he can during his journey there. And I think it will be very good, really good. So give me 1 second, and I'm going to speak to the engineer, and then I will be with you, okay? Because it seems like
All
he's
right.
finished here.
Okay.
Hey,
Hey.
how are you? So I was eating, and uh, I lots of things. Has Richard told you about the report and stuff? And he basically thought it was very good. You made like 80,000 Kenyan shillings, right?
No, it's not 80.
What is it?
It's around 9. It's around 9,000 profit.
9,000. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought that was wow. That was quite a lot. So, Richard, are you there?
He has gone to talk to the engineer. He is telling me that he's somewhere
Yeah.
outside trying to get his car done
Yeah.
because of the snow that is in Sweden. It got destroyed a little bit.
Uh,
So
so
I was
I want to do two things on the way.
yeah.
I'm here. Sorted. I think we will have heating. Okay. Oh, David is here. Good. Okay, let me get the report, and I can run it through with you, my thoughts, like we discussed earlier. Where is it? Okay, I've taken it up here, Morris. So there's a couple of things that comes to mind, right?
Yeah.
Because overall, like I said, it's really, really good. It's very comprehensive. It's easy to read because you want to use this as every time you run into a query with the community about how many did we sell and where did we sell them. And that's probably one thing you need to add to the report is actually where were the sales being made. You have it very good with the demographics, but you need to be sure where you make the sales, right? Because when I look at the cost you incurred for traveling, the transport, it's a little bit more than what we had in our initial budget, and it's not necessarily a big deal because you have ample margin. It's a very good, high quality product, but you need to be sort of staying on top of where you make the sales. Because if you're only selling a few items, but you're incurring a lot of transport costs, then it might not be worthwhile for you pursuing that. So try to link where you make the sales to the cost of transport for the people going to sell, okay? That's one reflection I have. And the other one is the beeswax. You're saying 3 kilos is needed for the next 90 batches. That's quite a bit more than what I had in the budget. And I don't think it's a problem from the cost perspective, because again, given what you managed to charge for the balm, you have no problem absorbing those costs. I'm more worried about how much 3 kilos is for the bee farmer. Because I know very little about bee farming. I know nothing. But a good friend of mine is a bee farmer here. And when I said how much wax we needed, he said, you need to have a lot of growers because that is a lot of wax you want for your project. So I'm just want to make sure that you know you can find the wax going forward, given how much is being used.
Yeah. For the wax.
Yeah.
We have we have a lot of wax here because it was being used before we created this project. It was being used to create a local brew called Moratina, and you know, like, the community has never lacked the local brew. So the bee wax is there, especially because now the bee farmers here, they are in connection with other bee farmers from elsewhere. They usually do their expos. So they are what they are providing to us is what the rest of the farmers from their own network are like. This is waste, or else if it is being used, it is used at a, you know, a lot of wax is used and it is thrown away because it is only used for alcohol purposes. So there is a lot of wax here.
Okay. Because this is important. All the other things, the ingredients, you have some kind of control over. The packaging, yes, it could become a problem, but when we talked earlier, it sounded like that was never a consideration because there was ample certainty that you would find the packaging and you have control over the oil. So that's not
we
a problem.
Yeah, and also when we made our first, you remember when we were thinking of creating our first batch, we had thought of 120 pieces, and then we scaled down to 70.
Yeah.
So when we were discussing that 120, I had already talked to the guys who were giving me packaging,
Yeah.
and they had with the money that I'd given them, they provided with us 200 pieces of packaging then. So we have packaging. Packaging is there.
Good. And I would suggest going forward, although packaging is expensive, it's
Yeah,
it's almost like the biggest part of your cost.
yeah,
If you can, once you have run a couple of batches and you have good security where to store it, make sure you have a few extra ones in storage so you never run the risk that you will run out of packaging if there is demand.
true.
Because the plastics is not going to get destroyed or anything. It's different with the wax, right? It needs to be fresh.
Yeah, it's like,
And the only sort of operational problem I can see, the risk here, is on the beeswax. But if you're confident that there is so much of it around, maybe I should be a little bit calmer about that. But
yeah,
you are
there
using
is
a
a
lot
lot.
of wax, right?
Yeah, there is a lot of wax here. It's abundant.
Yeah, well, that's good. Good for you. But you also need to have a sort of a semi-frequent dialogue with the bee farmer, so you know if they start having an issue with wax. And
Yeah,
also, I seem to remember you were saying after the trial batch, some people thought it should be firmer and not as runny. So I assume you're now using more wax versus oil combination. So there's, relatively speaking, more wax and less avocado oil.
I know it's even with the running issue, the ratio that we had put with the melted, the ratio was like one liter of oil. We were using a fifth liter of melted wax. So to reduce the running or to increase on the farming, we just made that 1 liter of oil. We mix it with a quarter liter of melted wax. So it was not a big difference, but it was making all the difference in terms of the texture.
And you're very happy with the texture now.
Yeah, I'm very happy with the texture.
Good. So this is basically the ratio you're going to be using going forward.
Yeah, that's the ratio we are using and we'll be using
Perfect.
going forward. Yeah.
Here. Okay. Which is a little bit different than what we first discussed, but that's fine.
Yeah.
You know, it's either it's going to be oil or it's going to be wax. And the same goes, you said that there was a small amount of honey in there, right?
Yeah.
And that remains the same in terms of how much you're using.
Yeah, it remains the same because even with the honey itself, it's coming with the wax.
Yeah. And do you get the
Because
honey for free or are you paying for that?
no, the honey comes for free because they cannot extract the honey completely from the wax.
Clever. I like that, Morris. Clever. So it's almost a byproduct of the wax.
It's a byproduct of the wax.
Perfect. We like the sound of that. Because
Yeah.
I had originally factored in $2 for honey per batch, but that means it actually comes for free. Okay.
Yeah, it comes for free.
Good. That's really good. Then there were some operational issues with the machine, and you know, this is going to be an ongoing feature. It doesn't matter if you're Rolls-Royce, you're still going to have problems with your machines and equipment, and they need maintenance and they need new spare parts every now and then. I don't know how many moving components there is in the press, because it's the moving components that's going to take the strain, apart from the engine, of course. But again, it's something that you in your budget probably needs to make a reservation for. So if I go back to my original diagram here, I'm going to do screen share. And share screen. Can you see?
Yeah, I can see.
Good. So let's forget about the first page, because that was just the basic economics to see where the pies go to the various communities. If we take the second slide, which, you know, again, this was me drawing it on purpose, very wonky, because these pies are not set in stone. It's up to Mathare to define them, where you want the money to go, because it's your money. I suggested initially that here it's $60, assuming we made $80, which is kind of not crazy away from the 88 you said you made, right? From the first batch.
Yeah.
Every time you run a batch, I would suggest putting $5 into some kind of reserve fund for equipment. So for example, this slice up here, that would be something that you almost permanently keep as a reserve when equipment fails, or, you know, you have a part that needs replacing or something. It could turn out that this is not enough. It could be that it requires 10, and then you need to factor in 10, because ultimately without the machine, you cannot run the production. So it needs looking after and being maintained. But I would suggest you do it straight from the start, that you say, this money we need to hold in reserve for, you know, machine maintenance, for a better word. And then maybe you take another little slice, like another $5, and say, if we can keep some of the plastic containers for where you actually physically put the bomb in, unless you are absolutely certain that you would always have them available, because you don't want to be in the situation when you have no containers for the lip balm, but you actually are ready to run a batch and there is the bomb, because then you don't have the product to sell. It doesn't need to be a lot, but it needs to be, you know, like 20, 30 containers. In a couple of batches, when we've run them more times, maybe you can keep in reserve a whole batch, like 70 in reserve, but that's a later project. But you need to think in terms of actually holding some of those things in reserve, because things can happen. If there is the kind of flooding you saw, maybe they can't deliver those, and then you have none to buy, even if you have the money. That's kind of the main point. You might have the money, but the product might not be available for you to get in. And then the rest, you know, it's the community's money, which you can use to help with the flooding you've had. As long as you ensure that you have enough money to buy the product you need coming in, the next batch of wax and avocados, then it's all up to you. But my suggestion is that when you debate in the community how to distribute these 75%, be a bit conservative with what you might need for maintenance of the machine. It's such a crucial part, and it's the one thing that can go wrong.
So we are actually having tomorrow we'll be having a meeting to evaluate on the distribution of the money, because our earlier structure was to distribute it to various groups for investments. So we are trying to look at that possibility, because that possibility now means that we'll be giving them money, and then they will be able to return to us after a particular period of time with maybe 5% interest, and then we can now be able to share the interest, and maybe by then we'll have already run the second batch, and so we'll try to we try to grow it progressively.
Absolutely, you cannot rush this, because if things go wrong, then you end up with a lot of product that might not be sellable, and you've tied in capital that has been wasted, and you can't waste things.
Yeah.
You want to be careful about loans and interest and stuff, which so you need some kind of structuring, because loans become unpayable if you can't actually make the money, circumstances change and so on. So you really need some ways in which you are, the reason why we structured, we talked about what we do in terms of quarter of the gross profits in those ways and so on, is that if it was a loan, then you owe us a debt regardless of whether you make money or not.
Sure.
And that's not the idea. So the idea is that we provide, and that way what happens is that the incentive from our side is to lend you more than you can deal with.
Yeah.
Because then you owe a debt to us, and that we believe you keep honoring that, but that makes you worse. So this way round, we only lend you what we think you can actually manage and make with it.
Sure.
And we end up being closer on that journey together. So when you actually work with communities in that way, you've got to be careful about how it is. And I would say that loans are probably not the right structure, but equally, you need some sensible incentive to make sure that they will make the right efforts and learn. So there's a huge learning process also with this. There's a sense that the money that goes into the lab that can go out has risk. But the learning process, that's why the reviews and the documents you write and those sort of things are really important. Because they you want to improve effectively the credit quality of every member of the community together.
True.
As opposed to those that can get the most money the first time.
Yeah.
So someone's just driven into my place. I'm not sure if they're lost. I'll give them.
You go and check.
Well, they're probably a bit lost. They'll probably drive back out in a bit. So that's important there. Can I? Are we okay? Can I change topic a bit?
All right.
First of all, does that help?
Yeah, it does. It does. That's why I'm saying we had that idea that we have to sit down and evaluate deeper, because there are within the community there are women groups that are really known for, like they go to the tomato farmers, some nearby kilometers, they borrow the stock, and then they in the evening they come and they pay the stock and remain with the profits. So they are parts of the group of the wait, I'm getting some water here. So they are parts of the community that we were hoping that we could tap into in terms of trying to see how we can ourselves go for the stock, and then we give to the community for the trusted women to go and sell, and then having some way. We are trying to think about a way that we can double or not making the money stagnant as it is at the moment, but that's subject to tomorrow's meeting. And if we will not have something concrete, we'll just agree to put the money aside and continue accumulating, and then we'll be dividing equally, and that's it.
Yeah, so in that way, the reason for the idea of having a quarter goes into effectively a lab in that way is that can stay and doesn't have to change, doesn't have to be used as in that way until the real opportunities and situations arises that calls for it, and it encourages sort of little experimentations along. What you want to achieve is other ventures, other approaches. And Yeah, they've gone. And in that way, when you divide, make sure you get a quarter, 3/4 split in understanding what that is. I
Yeah.
think maybe Richard can help with actual numbers of what you have and so on. And then when you go from that, and people can know that can help other things. Like you mentioned before about Christine having something she can do and doesn't know how to start and so on. That can go along in that way.
I'll bring the first page up again.
Yeah. So if I now take what the other side that I want to talk about is your story. Hello? Are you there?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, is there?
Can you tell me what's? I'm going to write notes as you go and speak, and again, obviously we try to record these things, but let's just do that. I have been meaning to keep daily notes, which I haven't managed to do. What's today's date? 2023/04/04, which is scary because how we've lost dates. Okay, so Mathare, what's your story? Do you want to try giving me the story of Mathare and see?
Oh, the story from where? From which point?
I think Mathare has a great story about it. So why don't you just talk about it? How did you get involved? Who is it? And let me just wait a moment before you start. Yeah.
So my involvement with the community started around 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Where I started as a local chairman at our local church, Catholic church in my area. And then when COVID came, there were a lot of women from Mathare that could not access the cities due to the lockdown, and some of them were sexual workers. And this was a conversation that the other people were not ready to have, not leave alone even to go and assist. So we came together with my group of 20 youths, and we decided that we are going to change that. So we went to the local shops, to people's homes, teaching about COVID-19. In exchange, they give us some food so that we can be able to donate. And we grew like that. We had some business community. That time, the schools were being closed down, and they had a lot of stock of food, and the foods were going bad. So we were given access to that. The Catholic Church also came and gave us some food, and we donated. We fed around the whole slum, around 300 families for 6 to 7 months. After that program, COVID-19 ended, and the real economic, and the social vices of the effects of the COVID-19 hit Mathare, because there were no government projects going on, so the sewage was in a very bad state. There was a lot of hunger, because now there was this dependency syndrome where they wanted, like they were used to being fed, and now, so we had to create another model. So we were given access to this land, and we started farming. We started doing sweet potatoes, which now we were distributing to these 300 families. Famine came at that point, and we couldn't, sustain the farming project. Also, when we were farming, we were doing some cleanup activities around the town, so that we can move in to elevate the sewage situation there. And then fast forward, we came together just around last year, and we were talking about how we need to, because of the economic crisis, the situation was going bad, and we were like, what do we do? So on the thought of the water pan came in, and now when we were just brainstorming the community about the waste avocados from the avocado farmers, and we thought that we could do something on avocado oil. That's how Owen came and created the oil press, and that's until now we are here.
You talk about the people in the community. How do they get to be there? You mentioned about Wilfred and how he came to be. He was university, to drop out, and eventually, and then he wasn't at the community before, but he became there. So that's one example. So how do the people end up there? How do they come from outside? Are they born there? You mentioned before there's a lot of disabilities. So are they disabled and therefore they come to the community, or are they born disabled, or does something happen along the way, or is disability a way to have a living? What was actually the story with that too?
How people come to settle because of the low cost of the housing, and also its low quality. So there are usually there is an influx of people coming in and going out. Some of them come from outside, but there are those that were born, especially from the single mothers that were then, because it was known for being a sexual slum. So the single mothers had their own kids, and their own kids are now big. So their kids give birth to kids. So there are people who have been that's their home. Like they have their third generation there, and then there is another group of young people who just when they want to hustle, they just want to start life afresh. They come to Mathare, and there is a lot of insecurity. Yeah, especially for a person because we don't know, because of the rate of people coming in and going out, you don't know like who might, even the community itself, they don't know who came, what character, what does he do. So with the economic situation now, there is a lot of crisis. Also the disability, like since most of the children are from single parents, and these were mothers that were never present in the night, so they viewed that having disabled kids is something that is holding them back. So some of them just abandoned them in churches. Some of them just left them in deplorable situations. So there is time that we come together with the disabled, and we celebrate, and we try even to fundraise for their school fees and all that. Hey.
Yeah, when you're talking about again back to disability and being from single parents and the parents are not away, so is that because they have accidents and therefore they end up being disabled?
Some of them is being born.
Some of them is being born.
Yeah, some of them is being born.
And sorry, carry on.
Some of them is being born because there are a lot of factors that can make someone to, and some, I'm not a medical expert, but there are some people who will be like, lack of nutrition can cause weakness in the legs of a child, of an unborn child. Consumption of drugs can cause blindness or any other condition, and even the health of the mother while she's giving birth. If she has not eaten well, there are a lot of complications that might happen when she's, so most of them are natural. And then there is another part where there are some of them that, especially some youths have been into hard drugs, and they are not mentally stable as they ought to be.
Yep. Okay. And then with your group, that have started doing this from the church, as you say, are they still part of it?
Some of them, like for me, I stayed in the community because of I was a leader. I'm still a leader, but for them, they now have careers of their own. We were talking about 2019 when we were all in school. So now most of them went to do their other careers.
Okay, so
Yeah.
so does that mean they're not in the area anymore?
Some of them are, some of them are not. Some of them just come to visit their parents when there are celebrations.
Okay, so
Yeah.
tell me about the people. The lady who came to you about the avocado.
The lady, she is she's a young girl. There are two sets of ladies here. There is the one that came and brought us the recipe of the lip balm and wine. She was in charge of trying to construct to get the right recipe for the lip balm, which she got from her grandmother. So her name is Wanjiro. She's still in the community, but she's a local nurse. So sometimes she's there, sometimes she's not. She just got her job in a local hospital. And she was part of the group that we were distributing food back then. And back then we were also like going to hospitals and volunteering to make sure there is social distancing, so that from there the hospital spotted her, and when she finished, she was absorbed there. The other one who told me about the avocado and told me that we could, there is something that we could do. So told me about the post harvest losses that are happening. She's a very young girl. She's a very young girl. She's from the slum, but her dad, she lives with her dad because now her mom is in the slum. So she was born in the slum, but she chooses to go live with her dad, who lives in a place called Kenon. So yeah, what about her did you need exactly?
It's just kind of like that. So there's more of understanding about the people, about who they are, as you're talking in the way that obviously you are at the moment. And I think that if I go to carry on with what you're kind of describing, so tell me a bit, when you say young, how young do you mean?
She's around 18.
She's around 18. Okay.
Right.
So and then this is really interesting that this never recorded. Read AI, and this never came up. Just bear with me one moment. Okay, never mind. So she's around 18, and the nurse, how old is she around? So so the 18-year-old came along to you and said there were these avocados. Is that a normal thing for people to be saying? Is that?
No, it's what I'd say. What happened is that she was. We were just talking. Her and her uncle, and I had the same, but I did not know exactly how we are going to go about open up because she used to come.
I'm struggling to hear you, Morris.
Oh, I'm saying she did agriculture. She was accompanying her
Sorry,
mother.
still struggling to hear. I caught when you said you were talking about something with her before.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, now we hear you fine.
Oh, yeah, I'm saying she does agriculture, and she's from the She was accompanying her mom to the to the avocado farmers, so she knows exactly the situation that she described to me the exact situation that was there,
Oh, yeah.
as opposed to me who was doing the assumption.
Right, but why did she talk to you about that situation in particular? You said something about you were talking to her before and then we lost your voice.
Oh, so I'm saying back then we were communicating with her uncle, who is a community leader, and since she was also my friend, and we were not feeling, it was not uncomfortable to discuss about the future of the projects that we needed to do. And so we just opened the discussion. We talked about, we decided, let's what can we do? We have this idea of avocados. We have a lot of avocados here. What is the situation and what can we do? And so she interjected from there and gave us the exact situation. And she connected Kamau to negotiation with the avocado farmers.
Okay, what was the negotiation you guys had in the end? I mean,
The negotiation was first of all, we wanted the overripe avocados, because we assumed that was waste, and it was causing post harvest losses. And but when we went into discussion, the farmers were like, you know what, even if even if we don't sell these avocados, we are okay, because we have not been selling for a long time. We only get like once a year we do a big sale, but in the other season we don't just get brokers who just come and buy the avocados at 0.03 USD. And so we were like, okay, since they wanted to know the goodwill, how serious we are, we are like, okay, take an avocado at 0.05, which is an improvement to what you guys are getting from the brokers. But if case that we will find ourselves in a situation that we will not be able to upload, and that means you will have to be with us, and then we will definitely honor our pledge. And that's how the deal was closed.
So with so tell me about the guy who made the press. How did that come about that he made it?
That's a very long story. So we were after the discussion. Owen was part of also the group that we were giving food. Is one of the guys that have not moved from Maragua. We're still together with him, and he's talented in terms of technology and all this, especially things like mechanics. He has his way with machines. So we were just brainstorming, and we were like, we have this idea of avocado. We have already talked, and this is where we are at. But now the problem is that either we have a fundraising, we buy the press, even if it's going to take like 3 years to do it, and then we do it. And he was like, oh yeah, we can try the fundraising, but at the same time, I can try and do something. So we went, to there is somewhere that they sell secondhand, fans. He looked at the fan and he was like, okay, I think this can be used as something that can propel a screw. And then from there, he just did his thing, and then he brought us the machine. I was not there with the rest of the process, because it took like 1 week.
Yes.
For him to do it.
Are you surprised?
Surprised
by him doing this?
Well, I was, but I know his abilities, and I was at that time. I didn't have, like, for example, there are some of the things that I assisted to buy from the 100 USD that you send monthly. and I wouldn't have done that if I don't believe in him. So I was not surprised. At the same time, I was surprised.
By the way, I sent you some this morning.
Yeah, I saw it. Thank you.
Yeah. So if you so this is sort of piecing together what I think of as the storyboard. Okay.
Yeah.
This is sort of your story, and we need a few more people in there. When you say about the community leaders, tell me about them.
These are the voices of the community. One is an assistant chief. The other one is just a community elder. There are usually 3 of them that I work with, who assist me in terms of mobilization, in terms of discussion, in terms of anything that I want to do within the community. So we started way back. We started when we were giving out food, and until now, we're still in a cordial relationship. So their work is just to talk to the people and bring feedback of what the people feel. Yeah.
How are they? How do they come to be in that position? Are they the first people you met, or when you say one is an assistant chief, what does that mean? It seems like there's a structure to the community itself, and is that structure? How does that form?
The assistant chief is a government official who mans a sub-location. So Mathare is within a sub-location called Rurago. So he is in charge in terms of government services. The other one is a village elder. Village elder are these people that are appointed by the provincial administration due to various factors. For example, if even every meeting you're usually there, you provide solutions, you've reached a certain age, then you become a village elder based on what you did to the community. So one of the village elder was a chairman of my church. He assisted that time. He worked with the Ministry of Education. He assisted a lot in terms of giving some free bursary to youths in Mathare. So that's how he came to be the village elder. The other one is basically someone who is vocal, and people trust him, and people go to him for advice, and they listen to him. He's not that old. He's like 42, I think.
And so are these people which are they nominated by the chief, or are they nominated by the people, or do they stand and say, I want to be village elder?
No, they are spotted. Like, for example, when like 8 years ago, they used to have these village barazas where the whole community will sit down at a certain time and they will discuss their issues, and from there you'll find someone who always provides solutions. So naturally the community will always go to him, or will always ask him, what do you think? And so now that's how they build the trust, and then they label you as a community leader, or even you find yourself you're a community leader. So it's not nomination. It's like when you stand out, when you do good, people will spot you and people will trust you.
Right. Okay. And so now we've got this thing where we have a community of 300 people. A lot of people come and go. Some are actually born there and stay around. In terms of the people who have been involved with the Halisi Organic Ventures, how many of them are people who are basically settled in the community? How many of them are passing through?
All of them are from the community. Okay. There are people that come and they are not from the community, but they stay for a very long time. So I don't think there is anyone who is passing through, and most of them are there to stay. In terms of being born there or it came, we have around 4 youths that, including Wilfred, that were not born here but they are here, and then we have now the rest: Christine, Alfred, Kamau, all these people are just from the community, and they were born there. They're gonna stay there for a long time.
So now we begin to go on through, because what you have is a story of agriculture. What you have is a story of community. What you have is a story of kind of togetherness, and also a story of innovations, and a story of heritage. Your grandmother's lip balm recipe comes up in that way, and those kind of things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when this started, and through the conversations you had, people got involved along, and you got people into town halls, and when this idea first came, who's the person who made the press?
Who's the person who made
The press.
Owen?
Owen. When Owen made the press, what happened? He said, "Morris, come and look what I've done," or what happened?
I remember back then I had gone to record my songs. I recorded in a studio in Nairobi also, and also I have the Clement studio in the community. So at that point I had a meeting with my producer in Nairobi, and I was not there. So what happened, I was called by the community elder, and he was like, there is this thing that has been brought to him, and he doesn't know what it is, because he was not sure if it's an oil press. It was in a box. So I was like, who brought it to you? They said it's Owen. So since Owen doesn't have a phone, I said I'll come. So 2 days later, I just went, and I looked at it, and I called Owen, and yeah, we tested it, and it was working. In fact, even the day we tested is the day that you guys called and you saw the oil dripping.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
That was
Yeah.
me. I was okay. So Owen comes along. He goes to the village elder. That goes along through, and then you tested it. Now what happens next? When did that start going to lip balm? Because originally it was about vegetable oil.
So during the discussion with the community leader and also with the girl, we were talking about that. Then we were talking about large scale vegetable oil. But when we sat down again and we were discussing, we were like, how long will it take? How labor intensive will it be? One, to create like 100 liters and to distribute to different people of avocado oil. And we were like, okay, we need to value add the small amount of oil that we are going to get, because even then we were not sure if we were going to get a press. So we settled on a small scale, and the girl who brought in the recipe, we went to a town hall, we discussed it, and we agreed on a small scale production of oil and a lip balm. So even when Owen was creating, he had in mind that it was something that was small scale.
Who had that in mind? Who was this who had that in mind? Owen or the community leader?
Who said?
Who was it who had this in mind about being in the small scale rather than the large scale? How when you talk about those discussions, what I'm trying to understand is, when did it begin to be something that was more than one or two people talking?
All the meeting that we had with the girl that taught me about avocado and her uncle. That meeting, we talked almost everything. We looked at the effects of a large scale avocado oil, like what it will take, and we looked at a small scale. So we agreed, because we had this idea also of value adding the oil, but we didn't know exactly what to value add to. Though we had the lip balm idea somewhere lingering, we were just there. So from there we had those approaches, large scale and small scale. We all of us were preferring for the small scale. But we needed to have a meeting. The following day we were having a town hall. It was on a Friday. So when we went and sat down and discussed about this is what we have in mind. Various people presented. We were like, okay, then we need to value add. We need to create a libum, and then from there, that's when now my friend, she was like, okay, I can talk to my grandma and I can see if we can have those recipes. And then that's where now it went on rolling.
And the town hall you mentioned, is it normal to have town halls?
It's not. It's not normal to have town halls. It is created on need basis, and it's not that the town hall doesn't have to have everyone involved. It's those who have had the message will come and we discuss. If you are not there and you heard there is a resolution, you can always raise the question to the community leader, and then in his own wisdom he'll form a town hall.
So and so it was the community leader who said let's have a town hall.
Yeah.
That now I'm going to ask a funny, strange question. I mean, Owen made the press. The girl had the avocados, and you were involved in there. What made it become a town hall, as opposed to simply this is Owen making a press?
No, what made it a town hall? What came and made it a town hall is we were discussing on. We even didn't know how many avocados will create one liter of oil. So and also at the same time we even didn't know where the oil press will come from. But we had the idea that the right thing to do is to extract the oil from the avocado. That one we all had in mind that yes, this is something that is possible. What we were not sure about is whether is it small scale, is it large scale, do we value add it to form lip balm and other products. Where will we get the press? Can we have a fundraiser? That's why when after the meeting and I went, Owen was still in the meeting and he was like, yo, if you decide to do a fundraising, it's okay, it's fine. Even if it's gonna take 3 years, it's fine. But I'd like to try. So that's when now the pieces started falling.
Right. So there is like a sense here. There's a spontaneity about it, which is part of that story. Do you follow?
Yeah.
Like there is somehow a, and it may have been supported by the community structure and the community leadership that you've had in place from before. But there's something else going on in a way, because this isn't something that you've done before, that says in the world where Richard and I come from, if I made a oil press, that's mine.
True.
But it didn't go down that path.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to capture the essence of why it didn't go down that path. So there was a question about not knowing how many avocados. So Owen didn't have the avocados, so couldn't really do that either. The girls knowing the avocados didn't really know what can be done. You had another person who had understood about lip balm and had a recipe she could access through her grandmother.
Yeah.
And so that's sort of 3 people. And then you were there and you'd always been involved with the community, so that makes 4. The community leader became involved because Owen went to him by accident.
Yeah.
In that way of having made this. You were out of town. That turned out to be good, to be quite fortuitous. And then how did other people come on board? How many people are there involved now?
We have around 24.
And what would you
actively?
Right. And how would you describe their involvement? Are there like 3 people gathering avocados? Are there like 5 people?
So this trend, because of also, you have to balance the fact that we can't make them more poorer by denying them time to go and look for something they can eat. So basically we have like shifts. We have like 8 people working at a designated day. We have like 8 people who are working. So in case the 8 people who are volunteered and they have other things to go to, we can easily like tell them, okay, it's fine. Once they come and tell us we have done this for today, tomorrow me, I'll be going, you will be going. So if that group will be going, then we have another group that is on call. So that's how we work. And how the team came together is one, due to the town halls. There are people who will just come and tell me, oh, I want to be part of it, I want to be part of it, I want to be part of it. So me and Christine, we were always there, because she's someone that she knows what she goes for. I've worked with her before, so it was not, we have always been around. It's only that now, when with her kid, she can't like be with we can just walk everywhere we go, but most of the time she was there, especially in this town hall. So she was writing these names, and so we were telling them, let us meet at a certain place. So that's how we have been working. And so you'll find someone who will refer a friend, and you're like, okay, I have a friend tomorrow, and she will be interested, and she's busy. Can she come, or can he come? They come. So mostly it has been through referral during work, and also due to the town halls that we do.
And when what about premises? Where do you all do your stuff? Where is it made? We talked before about the electric meter, and then you said they had decided that there were metal, corrugated metal that you can use. You can create a space. So how does it work now?
We're still at the same place that we still create the lip balm. We haven't moved. The iron sheet that we wanted to create somewhere we can go and move to within the farm. We have used them to rebuild the houses. I'm telling you, they were flooded. So
Okay.
yeah, situation. We had kept. We were slowly like collecting the iron sheets. When we usually have offices government offices that were left up and abandoned. People just go and borrow, and they take the iron sheets and they cut the part that is rotten, and yeah, that's how we've been piecing down.
And if the offices have been abandoned, they can't be used.
Yeah.
Are they unsafe to be used, or is it just that because they were former government property that you can't use them?
They are unsafe, one, and also due to change of government policy. For example, if the government says we are transferring certain officials from a certain point to another point. Yes. Oh, sorry.
Take your time.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah. So can you hear?
Yep.
Oh, I was saying, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we hear you fine.
Oh, where were we?
You were saying about how government official transferring from one government to another. Well, I was asking about premises, and you were talking about how they are
Yeah.
in the first way sort of unsafe, but there was something else about it as well.
Yeah, government policy. So for example, that place that we took some iron sheets from was a ministry that is no longer there in government. It was called Ministry of Works. It was there around 15 years ago. So when that ministry was no longer there, the allocation to the offices was no longer there. People were transferred from their departments to other regions. So that place grew a lot of tickets, and it became unsafe. It became a den of where people could just go and do all sorts of bad things. So recently, we just talked to the assistant chief, and we were like, okay, we need those iron sheets, because even if they stay there, they're still gonna go bad, and we will be using them for something better. So people have just been going harvesting iron sheets, cutting the pieces that are not good as pieces that are good. We have been storing them, but now we had to use them because of the houses. But it's all good.
Okay, so they are unsafe because of of the people who've taken over the offices. Not unsafe because the building is structurally unsound.
Yeah.
Okay, and so if I then go to this, I still feel there's a bit missing in this story. I still miss this part where everything comes together and starts moving forward. I missed that part, which is, I guess, the town hall. Maybe I'm not just getting the mood of the town hall.
So we have
In that first town hall, were you there?
can't hear you.
In that first town hall, were you there?
Yeah. Yeah, in the first town, we have had around 4 town halls, and two like groups of 12 just sitting down and discussing during this period of the project. So the first, I was there. And that was the time where we were discussing, after the discussion with the girl on avocados, and we had these questions on how many avocados, how 1 liter of avocados need how many avocados. Can we go large scale? Can we go small scale?
So
Can the
who started?
avocados?
Are the town halls chaired by someone?
I chaired it.
You chaired it, and if you
Yeah.
play back the movie of that town hall, could you
Yeah.
do that? How many people were there? How many people showed up?
We were around 56 to 100. I couldn't really count well.
That's a very large group, right?
Yeah.
Is that normal for a town hall?
It's not normal. It's normal. The part where that it's normal is can you hear me? I think I'm in some noise.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, we hear you fine, Morris.
Right. So I'm saying especially after the water pans, and that was a project that we were doing, like we were around 400 then, who we had women who are coming just to making sure that the sweet potatoes are going on well. We had the men in the sewage, just trying to make sure the sewage was, or it can be, it flows on well. So we have had that cohesion. So after the water pans and the discussion with the community leader, of course, the community leader will go and communicate and say, you know what, I think it's time we go and have a discussion about our future because of our past projects. So based on that, a lot of people came because they know the work that we have done, and it's normal for me to have such a crowd at a time when I need it. But it's abnormal for it to have happened that fast then. But that's what I'm saying. It's normal and abnormal at the same time.
So normal to have so many. What's abnormal about it? What's not normal about it?
what's normal about it is
What's not? Yes, Karen. Sorry.
what's normal is like I have that trust with the community. So when I call them, they come. We have a discussion on issues. We discuss. We talk as a family.
Yeah.
What is normal is the short period in which, because it was like that night we had that day we had that discussion with the community leader, and then the following day on a Friday we had that town hall. So it was abnormal to have that turnover of to have that just quick meeting. And even before even that meeting, I remember we wrote down what agendas we need to discuss, and the community leader went and those people that he met, he gave them those questions, and most of them said, yeah, we're going to come and we're going to discuss this. So when they were coming, they knew what we were coming to discuss. So that also made it easier, and though we didn't expect such a large number. So if I replay it, it began around 11. Someone had a prayer, and the community leader took charge. He was to discuss, because he took the agendas to them for them to discuss, so that they can come to the meeting. So he told them that we have had the water plans, we have this project, but we still need to think about how we can minimize the post-harvest losses, how we can be able, us as a community, to elevate from this situation, because the situation back then was that the only way you can engage with an avocado if you're from the slum, if you have been told to go and pick, So we were to erase that mentality of the laborer mentality from our mind, from the mind of the community. So he opened up an open-ended question. He was like, okay, what resources do we have in terms of agriculture? A lot of people said avocados, others said bananas, which is true. We also have a lot.
Sorry, I lost you here. I'm not hearing you. If I turn my audio off or something. Richard, do you hear me?
I hear you, but I don't hear Morris. I think he went.
So
You just lost.
And now can you hear me?
Yes.
Now we can hear you fine. Yes.
Oh, I was saying, so during the meeting, we had someone open with a word of prayer. The community leader went down the agenda. The agenda was, what resources do we have available around us that we can be able to use? And when he pointed out, he said, from where we sit, we see avocado as a potential. So how can we use it to our advantage? Because we were thinking of drying, we were thinking of drying them, we were thinking of extracting oil from them. What can we do? And so now the questions now started arising from the community. How many avocados can make 1 liter? Um, how many liters can a household consume in maybe a week? How much will it be? How much is the cost of avocado oil in the market? And how many people will be able to buy? So based on those questions, roughly 1 liter of avocado oil is 1,500 Kenya shillings. A family can consume 1 liter in 3 days, 3 to 4 days. A family of 5 to 6, 4 to 6. So that means per day that's around 500 shillings. According to the levels of the community, then it cannot be bought. Looking at the middle class also, they will rather choose other types of oil. So now the question was, how do we add value to the oil and make it a small scale project and be able to sustain? So Manjiro rose up and she said, you know what, we can make lotions, we can make lip balm, we can make Vaseline, we can make a lot of things. And now the other question that people are asking is, who has the skills? how do we make this thing? And then she said, yeah, the only thing right now I can know and I can assure you with is the lip balm, because my grandmother produces the lip balm. And the other question was, now if we can create the lip balm, then how do we extract the oil? A lot of questions on fundraising, a lot of concern. Will we be able even to reach 600 USD within this time frame? So that's when now Owen stood up and said, you guys continue the fundraising even if it's gonna take 3 years, but I think I'll need to go try. So yeah, that's that was basically how we ended it. We ended like, okay, you Owen go try, Wanjiro go ask grandmother, and then we will meet. I think we have found a solution because that's a cheaper option. So
But I thought Owen had already made the oil press.
no, he had not made it.
He had
That
not
was
made it.
with the first town hall. He had not made it totally.
Okay, but when we had our first conversation, he had not made it, because I know that.
Yeah.
And you were thinking about vegetable oil on a large scale.
Yeah,
And then, was that before or after the town hall? Was that conversation? That must have been
that
before
was
the town hall.
that was before.
Before the town hall. So
Yeah.
a number of conversations, and you had not talked to Owen before or after that, between that and the town hall.
Between that and the town hall, we did not even have time to talk to Owen, because uh, it was not it was not in my mind that we can be able to create an oil press. Yeah,
Yep. Yeah.
it was not in my mind, so I had not even discussed that with Owen. But what I wanted to know is what is possible. So that's when now we had the meeting with the community leader. That's why we were having the workshop, because I remember the conversation that we ended up with you was that can we try and see if the community itself can be able to do something. And I remember it took a week, and then I told you that this is what is happening, and the oil press is being made. So uh, we had not talked with Owen. Said that he can do it in front of the people actually. So from there I just followed up as a person. I asked him, is that true? Are you sure? And because I trust him, and I know his ways around machines, we just walking. He told me, okay, let's walk around and go see. There is a fan, no, a second hand electronics shop, and see if we can find something faulty that we can adjust. So we just went, we saw the fan, and then from there I left to Nairobi. So that's where now the package landed at the community leader, and he was not sure that he can. And the community leader was not sure that this is an oil press. He was not sure if Owen was serious. So that's when that's why he called me to confirm. Yeah.
Okay. So that's I think the story now comes together better. So you called the town hall.
I requested the community leader.
Okay. So you request community
Yeah.
leader to have a town hall, and the town hall was about what can we do about resources, and it was the time of the avocados, and it was really to try and get an understanding of how much, whether there was anything that can be done, and what's really interesting in this is this discussion about what is possible and not, what the economics is and not, how much it is and whether people can afford it and all those things, right?
Yeah.
Which actually is really interesting, because what he's saying is there is a lot of very practical knowledge and very practical business sense in the community.
Yeah.
Do you recognize that too?
I do recognize that.
So now if we go on past, and you had the trials, you had all those things and all the different parts, and now we're in a situation where I think that there's a lot of kind of other skills and possibilities along. How does the I mean, how many people in the community run their own businesses?
Basically, that's what they do for a living because they are not, because of the stereotyping. So you have to go and, like I told you, women go and take stocks on loan, and they go to their groups, they borrow the loan, they take to the farmers, and then they go and sell. So they sell the stock and get the profits. So most of them are business people for survival. Most of them.
And they are so on a small sort of individual basis. How many of them keep books in the sense
They
that
don't.
Richard is describing?
They don't keep books.
They don't keep books. Are they beginning to keep books for this?
For the Libam or for their businesses?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
For the Libam or for the businesses?
For
For
the
the
lip
Libam,
balm.
I'm handling the bookkeeping together
Okay.
with the tech.
Who would you give the bookkeeping to handle?
I would give Wilfred, because most of it is now technological. But in terms of physical bookkeeping, and Christine is doing a fantastic job.
Who else would be there? You talked about teams of 8.
There is Alfred. He's the one who looks at the Halisi Youth Ventures. There is Kevin. There is Madocho. There is, I'm calling them according to how I know them. There is Kevin, Madocho. There is Brian. There is Agustina. There is Maureen. There are a lot of people I can mention.
Right. So for me, it's important that basically this develops into into bookkeeping is a skill.
Yeah.
It's a valuable skill. It can be used in other situations. It can open up opportunities, just as technology in that way too, and so on. And it can become showcased along with it, and people can talk. They can sort of discuss about how we can make better use of it and other things. But if your business extends beyond the day-to-day, bookkeeping helps you keep track of just where things are going and where things are not, rather than memory, which can be misleading. So,
True.
so as you go on, as it goes on further, I think that's an important part. And if you then go and say, well, what other ventures and other things can continue? Again, that ability, that sense of sort of having the bookkeeping is an important element of it. And of course, for any kind of formal business, you need that bookkeeping.
Yeah.
Along with it. So I think all of those are and they say that becomes like the next part. There's empowerment, and there's sort of the elevation of skills.
Yeah.
And the empowerment is the sense that you can do something, you can come together to do something, and the elevation of skill is the addition of knowledge and understanding that you have as a result of doing some things. And
True.
the bookkeeping becomes part of it, and it helps to feed back along. So now, when you wrote that report, which you say you did, have you shown it to the other people, the other 24 people that you say are involved?
Yeah, actually, the last stage of the report, because I didn't write the whole report. If you look at the report, there are parts where production team led by Owen has done it. Wilfred has done his technical team report. Christine has done her part. So what happened is this is something we talked to them after we talked with you guys and said a report is part of it was even in our agreement that we do monthly reports. So that's something they were aware of because we discussed the agreement with them. So I told them the report is going to be bottom up. What we are going to do is you guys are going to write what you feel. Different teams sit down, and then you will have your team leads, and then your team leads will have a discussion with them, and then we will construct the structure of the report, construct a draft of the report, and then have a meeting with the team, read out what the report states, have a discussion about the report, and then ratify it. So that was the process that are going to be used and are being used for reports.
Okay. So now in terms of the story, right? In terms of going back to storyboarding, who you are and what your story and what you're telling. I keep saying that your product, what you really have is the story in that way. And so if I go back and I think about where you have along, I think that you've got the ideas around. There's still that history behind. There's still the history of COVID. There's that history of the types of people and the groups of people. And what I'm lacking is the essence, is that sort of sense of spirit before, now, going forward. What does it feel like? So what do the community leaders think of this or see of this at the moment?
Well, the community leaders are, first of all, they are, in terms of what they feel about this and how they would assist this. Those are two different things from where I see them, because they are conflicted. They are in the government, so the talk of the government is not supporting the government. They don't entertain that, but at the same time, they are really happy that something like this has cropped up from the community, and in a way that it is community driven, and in a way that it is changing a lot of lives. So it is something that they are happy about, and that's why we wanted to have the launch this weekend, so that we can have we can have them go to the Technical Training Institute, part of the community that have never even gone to a an institute like that, can tell the youth there that it's possible. This is what happened. This is what we create. So you guys, you can be able to innovate in your own spaces, and you can be able to create this. And the community leaders will be present there. We'll invite if political leaders would like to come, we will invite them. So we can be able to tell them, you know what, this is the stage where you choose to support, because the community is already, as I told you, now their thought is not about the support now. They are thinking about the support in 5 years, and they have realized that the power that they have is through the ballot. So they are not into going to beg for anything, but they are willing to sit down to the table and showcase what they are made of, because for a very long time they have been sidelined. Like, you just go, you are said you're from Mathare, you are labeled a thief, and all these things. So a lot of factors and a lot of emotions are into the relationship between the community, the community leaders, and the government. So yeah, I hope I have made the picture clearer.
Yeah, a little bit. I'm still a little bit not clear also. But if I then go and say, if I leave that aside, if I then go along and ask also, when with Owen, how does he feel? How do you think he? How would you describe how he thinks?
Owen is also surprised
Sorry.
that Owen is also surprised that he made it, but at the same time he believed himself. He believes in himself, and he feels amazing that he's part of. He was the missing link to this transformation.
Right. And then the girl who first talked about the avocado.
Uh, she's a shy girl, but yeah, she appreciates the information that she appreciates what we did with the information that she's giving us. Um, she's always asking what's the progress. She's there when she's available, because right now she just finished her Form 4 last year, so now she's into computer classes and all that. So whenever she gets time, she comes and we discuss.
Where does she learn her computer classes?
Just within the town.
And she goes there. They are lessons taught at a school or something, or
No, we have this because in our community we had a youth empowerment center, which I was managing then, and then there came a challenge where the maintenance of the computers and all that. The computers are still there, but the maintenance, um, a lot of politics came into play. So it was left and abandoned. That's where many youths were going for free computer classes, but now they go to private cyber areas, to cyber cafes, to get the computer classes at around a fee of around 7,000.
okay. So what happened to those computers that are still there at the moment? Where are they?
They were locked, because when the politics came to play, and
What's the politics that came to play?
the politics that came into play was that during the elections and during the COVID time, when we were giving the community food and all that, no politician was seen doing that, and they were saying that there are young people out there who are there to destroy their political careers because they are doing what they are not supposed to do. But we never relented. We still continued, and when the community accepted us, we the then district officer who believed in us, who was like our guidelight at that point, gave us the empowerment so that we can be able to have our meetings there. And soon enough, there were some computers of the government that were being dumped, so we requested they come there, and they were refurbished. Then our member of parliament was still, lukewarm. So when the elections came and the community was like, we don't want her, we don't want her anymore. So at that point, I couldn't go against the community. So I said, yeah, I agree with the community. So I told her, because now she started, threats, telling me, I'm going to close it down. We are going to change Mathare slum to an urban middle class estate. A lot of threats, and so when I left and she closed it, I don't know where the keys are. That was a very toxic space for me then.
Okay, so it was because okay, so she has her own kind of political advancement which she wanted that this was getting in the way of.
Yeah, she was like, these are the type of politicians in Kenya who want to remain in power forever. So when they see a threat and you're not even a threat, they are in to investigate and eliminate. So
okay. So, and you mentioned that with the elders, there's that sort of mix between the political and community that's there, and I think that's a very real element to it. And we've talked a lot about how many of the problems are related to that. Like when you were talking about the effects of the flood and the fact that if the properties get renovated properly, then they become unaffordable, and how the floods actually improve the local politicians because there's always a crisis.
Yeah.
Because there's always a crisis, there's a benefit to them, and those things. I can see how all of those are relevant to it.
Yeah.
So if I look at that, coming back to the story, coming back to the story of Mathare, coming back to the story of Halisi Organic Ventures. I'm imagining the film, basically, what that film looks like.
Yeah.
As you tell the story, as you have told it, what strikes you? What is it that, what does the trailer of the movie look like?
Uh, the trailer is quite emotional because it basically depicts the importance of resilience in growth. It depicts a lot of different, people who have chosen to go a different way, people who are unique, and also it shows what real support to real initiatives can do to real lives. So yeah.
Okay, so I think if you have time, yeah, is if you can go back and maybe, have you ever tried drawing a storyboard? Do you know what I mean? I'm sure you have with your music.
Yeah.
You plan out just what it's going to be. You plan out your song. You plan out, the video. You plan out how it's going to be, right?
Yeah.
So if you think of that and planning that out about Mathare and Halisi Organic Ventures and Halisi Youth Ventures and the people and those sort of things, as a short storyboard, thinking back about what you've shared and how you've concluded it. Yeah. If you just have kind of like maybe 6 scenes in it, basically 6 to
True.
10 or maybe 6 to 8 scenes in it, basically about that.
Yeah.
And then, kind of like a comment on each as in the storyboard. This is, kapow, Batman came and struck the villain down or whatever it is, and so on. That kind of thing. Then I think what would be good is to take that, to the community. Yeah.
Yeah.
And sort of say, is this the story?
Yeah.
Because when you come to the launch, you're launching a story. It's more than the product.
Yeah.
And then if you have that in mind, you can then go along and say, okay, let's capture this.
True.
We can all talk about it, we can capture it. And you can end up creating a short clip, a short video. It can just be, 30 seconds, a minute, or whatever, or it could be longer or whatever. But you can then have something short that captures it, that says what it is, that lets people know when you buy the lip balm, this is what it is.
True.
And where you end with is the things that you were saying, the different people, the different ways to go, and what it really means to be supporting, and what it is about listening to real life, and all of those things. Yeah. And all those sort of all those parts of it that comes along, and I think that's what I mean, and I think that's the thing to do. It's a healthy, it's a positive reflection, it's a celebration, effectively where you are. It doesn't say where you will go. It's still very open. There's still the politics. There's still all those things around. They don't disappear. But there's also other things that it empowers you to as you look, and as I look. It's just like, the trench that's a problem is also an opportunity. I've been looking at how plants can do the filtering. We looked at, we talked about how other things, your people, you send that link about the solar, the drop of water to be a lens.
Yeah.
And those sort of things. There are other things which can almost, it's almost like there should be a book of things to try and stuff and what you can do. But to gather it together so we don't lose it all, you need that
Yeah.
kind of story so that people can identify, it can create an identity, which you have already, but this would make it more tangible for everyone.
True.
Do you think that can work?
Yeah. It can work.
It's like what you
Because
did with a song.
yeah.
The song you did with the guy.
Yeah.
It's like that, but it's really a song for the whole community.
True.
And it comes together as a song for the whole community.
Yeah. So we do a short movie.
Yeah, but you need to storyboard it with the elements that you talked about.
Yeah.
I'm going to download this, put it up there so you can see it, something to refer to over the conversations, because you often lose sight of those things, and then that can then help to sort of say, okay, here's all just the rock pieces along there, and it becomes like it becomes a short video that the community makes for itself about
Yeah.
this, right?
Yeah.
And over time these things build, and then you form that link.
Sure.
If you go for I mentioned about the sites and GoFundMe type things and so on, and other things that you can do, because I think that there are I don't want to call them lessons. They are experiential moments for people to share.
Sure.
So that we can all feel a part of it.
Sure.
Okay. Do you want to give that a go? I think.
Pardon?
Would you like to give that a try?
Yeah, I would love to give it a try.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure it'll come out perfect.
Yeah, I'll give it a try.
Richard?
But that means that because we had talked to the principal of the Technical Training Institute to have a venue this Saturday. So I think that will have to wait.
Sorry, I don't quite see the link. Can you describe the link between the two?
Oh, the link is the launch.
Yep.
Should we give it a wait until we have the story?
I think you should have the story as part of your launch, but I think your story can be very quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you want to make it into a, when people talk about, the $500 for the video camera and those sort of things, you don't want that.
Yeah.
I think if you quickly storyboard it up so that there is a narrative to it.
Yeah.
So that you bring out the elements you just said at the end from the beginning.
Yeah.
The individuals, they're supporting each other, the experience in the past and stuff.
Yeah.
So you start basically from the comments that you made at the end. I'll get that back to you in a bit, and then you that sort of leads on through, and these becomes things that these things from the girl talking about the avocado and those sort of things, and then the girl now in seeking to study to learn more about computer studies, and Julian who's doing the same, right?
Yeah.
In under the guidance of Wilfred, and those sort of things. So we can add some things on top of that into the future, if you like, that have come to our minds about it. But basically, you don't need much time. It's not about trying to make it perfect. It's about making it clear for people so that you can go to them and say, how does this sound like our story? If so, can we, what can we say something or do something that will do that? Just record it, join it all up together.
All right.
Have you ever used what video editing do you use? Have you tried?
I'm not a video editor, but I try to use Canva.
Oh, you tried to use Canva.
Yeah.
Okay, that's okay. The video pad I use, which you can download, is actually pretty good for editing along.
Yeah. Video pad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By NXC software.
NXT.
It's free.
Yeah.
It's just free for community and other sort of things uses. It's that's why I think that's quite an intuitive thing. It allows any number of tracks.
Yeah.
Including sound and video tracks.
Yeah.
And it allows you to do, and the other thing, and Canva I'm using as well for animations and things. But I think it's not really it's so they're both sort of potentially useful to try. But Canva, you need to be online, so that eats into your online time, right?
Sure.
Whereas VideoPad is an offline software.
Yep, that's what I'm installing now.
So you got I put the link in there.
I've seen it.
So Canva is pretty good too. So okay, so if I go and okay, let me leave you with that, and then.
All right. All right. Thank you very much. I think I'll tell you the progress of what is happening now.
Hello.
I think we lost you there, Morris.
It's just muted.
Cut off.
I think it's just
muted.
noise in the background. It's just muted.
Okay, I see.
I'm saying there is I'll be giving you feedback on the small storyboard and also on the launch.
Yeah, I think this if there's a chance to catch up a little bit. By the way, I wanted to see whether you could join us later, but that's been moved to 6:30 our time, so I don't know if you're okay with that. From 5.
I'm okay with that.
And that's with the dancer called Fedana Hart that Inga Meta is connecting us with. And I'll try and catch up before your launch. It's almost like it'd be nice to go there with a set of kind of challenges.
Yeah.
It's a technical college. Here are some of the things you can help and work together with.
Sure.
All the way from energy to agriculture to sewage treatment to and just to have a good time. Sure. I think that's a really important element, just to have a good time.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think the clip can really help.
Yeah, we will create that clip.
Yeah.
All right. So how are the plans? I was suggesting that we create for example, those contact points we have from DRC, Tanzania, Malawi, we create a group so that we can be able to fix the dates, and then from there it will be easy for you to plan your travels.
Yeah. I think I need to connect to see whether there are people that I've talked to, whether they're interested to meet and so on. So because I don't just want to go there to go sightseeing.
Yeah.
It's my
You're
wife
doing a
is
little bit of sightseeing too. There are some things I'm sure you want to see.
That's all.
you know, it's like
It-
resources. The sites are always there.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm sure I will see.
Yeah.
But getting the logistics worked out is important, and getting how to go fast enough and go around. So I think we do that. Okay. All right. Let's finish here anyway. We'll catch up.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Bye.
Morris. And remember the things I said about the report. The report is really, really good. Just
Yeah.
add more information about your transport costs and where you
Yeah.
actually sell the products, because then it's
Yeah.
better, easier to see, the areas where you would rather sell than the areas you don't sell. So you get more information out of it. But the report is really good.
All right. All right. Thank you. Thank you. We will talk in the group.
Perfect. Thank you, Morris.
All right.
Take
All
care.
right.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.